In the past 2 years, I don't think it's unfair to say that we aren't running out of reasons to find some sort of comfort. For me, I find the most comfort from exploring games from my past, not just as a way to relive nostalgic memories from when I was young, but also to see just how well they hold up today in my humble opinion. I wouldn't look at this as a review, more just as a way to catalog my past for my own sake and for that of posterity. So if there's something that I missed that you wish I talked about, I'd love for you to mention it in the comments. Any discussion is welcome. The first game I want to talk about is Super Mario Sunshine, a game that I have a lot of history with. Mario's second full-blown adventure in 3D, and often looked at as the black sheep of the main games in the third dimension, this romp through a tropical island away from the Mushroom Kingdom is probably my favorite anything with Mario's face on it. Odyssey has come very close to replacing it, but nostalgia is a hell of a multiplier, and that has Sunshine edged out by just a bit. So the way this will work is I'll actually explain my history with the game, as well as how it holds up today, and wrap up with a conclusion. Now without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to my shop. So, the Nintendo GameCube is without a doubt my favorite video game console of all time. The PS2 introduced me to the 6th generation, and the original Xbox arguably influenced my modern taste in video games, but looking at my history, I can't think of a single console from its contemporaries or that were made before or after that I return to when I'm trying to look for my happiest memories in gaming. And Sunshine is one of the biggest contributors to that. I first got it when I turned 8 years old, and I played it so much that I wore out the disc and had to buy a new copy 3 years later for my 11th birthday. I remember playing through Delfino Isle, from the tropical landscapes to the bizarre hidden worlds to the frankly charming Pianta inhabitants of the porpoise-shaped collection of islands, cleaning up graffiti, defeating bosses, and collecting shine sprites in an attempt to clear the Red Plumber's name was very satisfying, with the responsive and easily controllable movement, freeform platforming, and the introduction of Flood's cannons all helping me along the way. The presentation was probably my favorite feature, with the usage of blues, greens, and reds giving each area its own distinctive feel. I also love the small detail on some things, like how when Mario slides around in the gunk of the world, he'll be covered in it, which after a boss fight can really make it look like a form of battle damage. Rinsing him off in water afterward feels earned, even if it ultimately doesn't do anything. While on the topic of presentation, the music in Sunshine is probably the most important aspect of it, for a number of reasons. Each world has their own memorable themes, all of which serve to help you associate every song to the respective places. I know I can happily remember what Bianca Hills, Rico Harbor, and even Delfino Plaza all sound like despite 10 years of not having it, and even my death during that time. My only regret is that I can't show you it here because, though being dead means I'm not afraid of much, I'm still not brave enough to take on Nintendo's strike-happy policies. Maybe in the next game. Something that I always hated was the lives system. It felt like lives were so sparse if you didn't know where to look for them, and while that wasn't so bad in the main areas of the different levels, the hidden worlds can be incredibly annoying, especially that frickin' sandbird. I also found that the much-praised level where all the burning ooze is spread throughout Pianta Village to be my most dreaded aspect of the game, haunting my nightmares well into my preteens. In fact, I'd arguably say the worst memories I have of Super Mario Sunshine come from the hidden worlds. They were always super hard for me, especially back then. I wasn't very good at platformers. The surfaces always felt too narrow, or the jumps felt too precise, or in some cases, they were too hands-off for the wrong reasons. Using Yoshi also felt a bit like a letdown at the time. Yes, he can absolutely destroy some of the more annoying enemies by eating them, but the fact that he wasn't able to swim made him feel a lot less fun, so I preferred running around on foot. The fact that you needed him to get through certain blockades also felt pretty weak sauce. All these factors didn't really dissuade me from calling Sunshine one of my favorite games at the time. The style of the game truly made me fall head over heels for it though. Now it's time to see if that style really pushes it over the edge for me today. For context, I made my first playthrough for this video on the GameCube, but for the purposes of making sure it looked nicer, minus a few texture issues that I'm honestly too lazy to fix, I decided to emulate the footage. Okay, so this game has aged pretty nicely. Starting off, the usage of colors means that the art has stood the test of time. The lighting isn't nearly as good as Galaxy, but it certainly has aged a lot better than some of the games from the 6th generation. Music is also still excellent, and in fact, there's a little story behind that. So, the internet where I live went out for an entire week, and the data on my phone is honestly pretty crap. Well, when I go to bed, I honestly like listening to some YouTube videos while I sleep. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that, so instead, I loaded up my Switch, put on 3D All-Stars, and just listened to the entire Sunshine OST until I was able to fall asleep. That's not really relevant, I just wanted to give that little snippet. Anyway, I think that the hidden worlds in Sunshine are actually a lot more fun than when I was a kid. I've increased my overall platforming skills, so that contributes, but even without that, I think the hidden worlds have a lot of wonderful challenges to them. I still think that the life system is still very pointless though. After Odyssey showed that you don't need to have lives to make players not want to die, I think it would have been so much better if Nintendo had thought of that system earlier with Sunshine. I don't even see how it really makes you better at the game. It just means that when you lose all your lives, you have to run back to the world that you want to go through and have to do all the setup to get to the hidden level again. That's not fun, and I fail to see how that makes you a better player. If anything, if you could practice the level as many times as you wanted, I think that would make you a much better player. Oh, and the Sandbird is still garbage, and honestly, I wish I believed in a hell because the person who came up with the pachinko machine level deserves to go there. A detail that I never really noticed as a kid, but started to after studying history in college, is the fact that each of the levels in Sunshine actually serve a pretty believable purpose in the grand scheme of the world. From Rico Harbor being a ship hub that moves freight in and out of the Isles, to Pianta Village serving as the somewhat ancestral homeland of the Piantas on a massive tree with large mushrooms underneath. Even the different beaches all serve their own purposes, with Gelato Beach, Serena Beach, and Pina Beach all serving as a party hub, luxury hotel resort, and amusement park respectively. All of this really does contribute to Delfino feeling like a true place with a living, breathing ecosystem, and as an adult, even a dead one, I'm genuinely appreciative of that. I also appreciate how you can see the different areas of Delfino from the other levels. That's something that I've always loved in games. As for Flood, okay, so I know that his introduction and in fact his purpose as Mario's tool to serve community service is often looked at as controversial. His jetpack was often looked at as a way to instantly win the game and provided no need to accurately platform. It's only fitting that the people who play Sunshine cite the hidden worlds where Mario is stripped of his water-based companion as their favorites. I'm not here to argue against it. Average Trey made a fantastic deep dive into the speedrunning community, where he talks about the backlash Sunshine saw for these reasons. So I'll just link you to his channel, but basically the idea is Mario is able to potentially save himself from a bad jump, which can be seen as a cop-out, and to a degree it kind of is. Do I think that's a bad thing though? Not necessarily. You see, the beauty of 3D Mario games has always been the techniques used by the game's top-tier players to skip sections skillfully, and on a personal level, I can't help but feel like Flood is just another example of that philosophy. Do I think he makes you a bit too reliant on him? Yeah, definitely. But that's why you have the hidden worlds take him away from you, to make sure that you're able to run without him. I kinda think Sunshine stands the test of time, and to this day is one of my favorite games. I'm kinda glad that my nostalgia didn't fail me here. To some, Super Mario Sunshine might seem more like style over substance, and I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong. 64 is the better platformer, Galaxy is the more innovative game, and Odyssey has overall better exploration, but the combination of the setting, presentation, and my nostalgia rocket Sunshine to being one of the games from my childhood that I will always look at very fondly. I'm honestly kind of pleased the first video on my channel is a positive one. Let's hope that the next one is as well. Anyway, I'd like to hear your opinions in the comments. Do you like Sunshine? Do you think it's a great game, or do you dislike it? I would love to hear both perspectives. And thank you for visiting my shop, and always come again.